Welcome, college basketball fans, to the Full Court Press Podcast with LT and Sammy D. This is the podcast that brings you legendary stories from college basketball's golden era and dives in deep with a current analysis of today's game. Get ready for the most energetic and entertaining college basketball podcast around. Let's get it.
Hello and welcome to another Full Court Press Podcast, a college basketball experience. Luke Taylor here with my guy Sam. He is back in the flesh, and we got another great conference preview. And I grew up, though I'm a Big East homer, I'm also this conference homer. Atlantic 10 basketball. We got LaSalle head coach Fran Dunphy and Richmond head coach, the Spiders, Coach Chris Mooney. Welcome to the Full Court Press Podcast.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thanks, Luke. Yeah. I'm here because of Mooney. Mooney said to do this.
Yeah.
He says,
yeah, he must have a little bit of pull with you. I mean, Coach Dunphy, you're a legend in college basketball. It's hard to mention college basketball over the past couple decades without mentioning your name. So we really do appreciate you coming on our show here. So I'm gonna
many years ago, I tried to recruit Mooney, and he turned me down. So
now you guys
got
a battle. Yeah.
Hey, Sam, so what is your guys' history then? So you tried to recruit him to play for you?
I tried to recruit him. Yeah, I tried to recruit him at the University of Pennsylvania, and he said, "The hell with you." He was going to Princeton.
Princeton.
Is that how it happened, Coach Mooney?
Penn's NIL package wasn't quite what it needed to be for me to be successful. So
well, I think it's worked out for both you guys. And yeah, welcome to the Full Court Press Podcast. We're going to talk a little A-10 preview show here, but I kind of want to dig into kind of your teams first and, what you guys have been up with this summer. I mean, there really is kind of no off season anymore, even though you have a couple dead period weeks here and there. But yeah, Coach Mooney, let's start with you. I mean, what has the summer been like for you and the Spiders?
Yeah, so as you said, it has changed so much. The springtime now has become the most, demanding and most recruiting work that has to be done. And there's quite a bit of urgency to it, and a little bit of a different feel than when you're recruiting juniors and seniors in high school. But yeah, we feel like we brought in a few guys out of the transfer portal. We lost 4 players, 3 to graduation, 1 to transfer. So we needed some guys to come in and be able to play, and we feel like we were able to attract some really good guys. Jonathan Beagle from Albany and George Washington III from Michigan, B. Artis White from Western Michigan. These guys we feel like really have a chance to help us a great deal and be really good players. We got Apostolos Romoglu from UConn and Dusan Neskovich from Dartmouth. So in addition to a couple of freshmen that we're really high on, we feel like we've built a good roster that we can hopefully be successful with.
Yeah.
Coach Dunphy, how about you? Spring, summer. What are these summer workouts look like for your team? And how have you kind of had to adjust to the changing landscape in college basketball?
Well, unlike Coach Mooney, I have to get my roster out because we have a lot of. I don't want to forget anybody who goes through the process of saying who's in on his team. So we're similar. We lost 5 guys. We got 5 guys, and we also have an incoming freshman in Jones. And Deuce's uncle played for us here at LaSalle when I was an assistant coach in the late 80s. But he's doing well. He's a pretty dynamic point guard and knows how to play and tough to keep in front of. And he's hard to keep in front of. And so he's done well. We have a kid named Eric Acker from LIU.
Mm-hmm.
A-10, as you say in the French world. That's his last name, and he's from UCLA and DePaul.
Go Demons.
Julio White from Temple. He left he came after I left my career at Temple University, and Corey McKeithen from Ryder. So all of these guys they have opportunity. One thing you have at this point is you have opportunity to give to kids. And so we're hopeful that they have a terrific time here. I'm forgetting one guy, Demetrius Lilly from Penn State, who is he's probably the guy who's making the most impact on our team at this point. He's probably started that center spot. He's doing well and a good guy to have. And his coaches said to me, "How is he?" And I said, "I wish I had two of them." He's that good kid to hang around with and be on your team. So we're grateful. Interesting times in college athletics, and certainly in college basketball, and I'm happy to be on here with you guys and with Chris. I think Chris does a terrific job, and very proud of him, quite frankly.
Yeah, even though he went to Princeton.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about the A-10 this year. I mean, it seems like you guys as well as your coaching peers and colleagues. I mean, as much talent that may leave the A-10, you guys are refilling it with just as good, if not better talent, coming up this season. And I mean, the A-10 plays hard, they're physical. And I kind of want to go into some conversations like about what is that recruiting when you're recruiting older players, right? Coach Mooney, I mean, Jonathan Beagle, right? I mean, just a beast from Albany, one of 8 players last year in the entire country to put up 12.5 points, 9.5 rebounds, and shoot 58% from the field, right? Like as you kind of put, I don't want to categorize your style, but it is a Princeton style offense, right? That you play and very methodical. And, like when you're putting these puzzle pieces together, what are those conversations like with some of these players coming in?
Yeah, I would say as the spring is taxing because there's this extra level of, stress that you don't have enough players for your team. And so each recruit becomes that much more important. But the actual process, is much quicker, and the players you're recruiting have a much better sense of, what's important to them at this point rather than when they were 17 years old. And so, because they've had some experiences, they've probably or more likely have ruled out things they don't like. And so they're looking for something a little bit different. And for us, I would say, I would think just probably the two things we look for the most are probably, sense for the game and speed. We really, as Coach Dunphy would tell you, I was extremely slow. And so, we're really attracted to guys who can move and are fluid and, but also have a really good sense for the game. And usually that shows up in their passing. And Jonathan Beagle's certainly one of those guys. He can, as impressive as his rebounding numbers have been, he can really pass and handle the ball and do a lot of things that we ask of our bigger players.
Yeah. The crazy thing about the conference, I'm looking at the conference standings last year, and this is for you, Coach Dunphy. It's pretty crazy. There's 15 teams, and really when you get into conference schedule, the A-10 conference schedule, which Sam and I both love because it's basketball centric. You're not hearing it in the conference realignment. It's focused on basketball, and we love that. But any of these 15 teams can really win on any single night. I mean, we saw that firsthand with Duquesne and the Dukes going through the A-10 tournament, going through the NCAA tournament. I mean, is it always like this every year with these 15 teams that are so competitive?
I guess I got into the league many years ago when I was an assistant at LaSalle, and then came back to it when I was at Temple, and now back to it again as I'm back at LaSalle. But it's always been terrific league, great coaches, great players, and the programs are really solid. And I think everybody wants to win, and nobody's anything but the most highly competitive group. And so there's nothing taken for granted. I think we respect all the people that we run to in this conference. And Duquesne is a great example of a team just coming together at the right time. And they have some really good players, so there's no question about that. But they all just arrived at the same time late in the year, and they did a really good job. Proud of them and what they accomplished, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coach Mooney, can you talk a little bit about some of like the peers like within your coaching tree and circle in the A-10? You know, we talk about like Coach Ryan Odom, you know, Coach Anthony Grant, and then new coach Schertz coming in off of a really successful year. I mean, this really is one of the strongest coaching leagues out there. And what does that kind of look like coming into this season?
Well, I think that the coaching is really excellent. Obviously, 15 teams is so many that, sometimes you'll play a team in March. Right
Coach, just wait. I heard you got another 5 teams coming in.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think that's, it's just too many teams. And so you might play somebody at the end of the year for the very first time, or you play somebody the opener and you don't see them again until the conference tournament. So there's some challenges in that way, but the coaching has been excellent. I think, to Coach Dunphy's point, the commitment of all the schools, being a basketball centric conference, the commitment is really high. Therefore you can attract really good coaches. Their staffs can be well put together. Their investment in the program is really high. So, you have really great coaches. Obviously Coach Dunphy, Anthony Grant's been the national coach of the year. Ryan Odom had one of the biggest wins in the NCAA tournament history. And so, they're just great coaches, and you can always anticipate that you'll be scouted extremely well and that they'll be very familiar with everything that you're trying to do. So, the investment of the schools is what's probably most impressive. And I think that enables every school to have good players and great coaches and those kinds of things.
Yeah. I would agree. And no offense to any other coaches, but when I think of A-10, I think of Fran Dunphy and Frank Martin. I mean, what are those, Coach Dunphy, what are those conversations like with Frank? I mean, I don't know if you like him or not. I think he seems like a pretty good dude, but what are kind of the conversations? Because you guys have been in the game a little bit longer than some of these other guys. Do you guys ever have kind of like these conversations about, man, it's different than when we first started?
Yeah, of course. Frank's a great guy. And he's done an amazing job over his career, and he'll be leaving.
And you guys are getting rid of him now, Coach. You're getting rid of him now.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that's happening in college basketball, and who knows what kind of movement will be out there with you read all about this, the Pac-12 and the Mountain West, and all of those things that we're still not steady in what's going to be over the next 25 years here. So amazing stuff. But Frank is great. Yeah, we'll talk about how times have changed. I just said it to you guys before we came on to this podcast that, it used to be you got the season ended mid to late March, and then, and you didn't see the kids again until October 15th. And October 15th was the day that you were apt to throw up, be so nervous. Crazy. Now you're with these kids every day, the spring, the summer, and the fall. And October 15th, the first day of practice officially for us was Monday. Wasn't that big a deal. You didn't get new practice gear and all that stuff. It was, you've been with these guys all along, and so and as a result, I like that. I like seeing these kids as much as I can, and so the game has changed. So Frank and I will talk about some of those things. He's had a great career and done some really good things, and just a down-to-earth, no BS kind of dude that is going to give you his immediate impression on things, and it's usually very well grounded and founded.
Yeah, and I think it's crazy. You said you enjoy the practice, but you don't miss Midnight Madness. You don't miss, like, I as a fan, I miss that. I'm sure you don't like practicing that late, but that was just the start of basketball. Now it just never stops.
Well, before Chris says his piece on this, I'm not much of a sizzle guy. I'm more of a substance guy. Give me the substance any day, and we'll try to figure that out. And what are you throwing that pass for? It has no chance. Or what a great play, great finish at the rim, and that. Well, I like that. To worry about whether or not we're going to have a dunk contest and a 3-point shooting contest. You're going to change into a bigger pair of shorts or whatever the deal was. It didn't turn me on that much.
Oh, God.
Mooney, I'm sure, has really classic response to that as well.
Oh, you
No,
went
I
to
think-
Princeton, so.
Yeah, I think we practiced until midnight for the first week. As far as
where are they? Where is everybody? They're gone. But it's
I will
pretty.
say this. I will say this on all of that. As you get a little older in this business and times change, I think all of us have recognized that less is probably more at this point. You're probably we used to have 3-hour practices, and if you didn't have it, you'd say, well, we're not getting enough done and that kind of thing. Well, now you're down to 2-hour practices, and then at the end of the year, you're 45 minutes to an hour. You're saving legs and acting a little bit more intelligent than when we were younger and thinking that we were going to outwork everybody and that kind of thing. Well, everybody works hard. Everybody's pretty good at what they do. I think you got to coach your guys to the best of your ability and grab a particular kid and say, let's watch a little bit more film and try to teach them that way rather than just forcing them to be on the court for as long as we used to do.
Yeah. And it's interesting because if you look at your league as a whole, a lot of teams are bringing some really valuable players back. I mean, Loyola's bringing back Des Watson. Dayton's bringing back Nate Santis, adds Posh Alexander. Frank's bringing back Rashul Diggins and also bringing back Jalen Curry. How are you? What do you guys expect from the league this year? I know it's going to be competitive with all 15 teams, but is there a couple of teams you're kind of looking at like, ooh, I don't know about them?
I would say most of the teams, to be honest. It's just so difficult to project. As much as you think the transfers that are coming in, when they get to a new place and a new system with a new coach, they could, far exceed what your expectations are or not do quite as well. And so, obviously the teams who sign guys who have a bigger reputation or were highly recruited out of high school, you certainly notice, but each transfer has a new opportunity, and I think it's really hard to project how each transfer will do and how the teams that they join will do. And so it used to be you could really figure out and project and take a pretty good stab at it. Now I think it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
I would sort of agree with that in that the other part of this is we're not going to see anybody in the league until we're done our 13th game. So we just don't think about it that much. We're worried about American U and North Carolina and the Big 5 teams that are going to play. And we'll watch and hope that Richmond gets off to a great start now that they have a special video guy in their program that give up all of our secrets. There will be no secret. I've coached against Chris for all these years, and I don't like playing against him. I will tell you that. These guys play well, and they play hard, and they do the right things. And so it's a hard game, but a great league. But we're not going to get into it until January 1 or whatever it is. And so it's we'll root for every team to do well. It makes our league better, and then that's a better opportunity to do well at the end of the year.
Yeah. So we've done a lot of these preview shows, and we consider you guys a high major conference, especially in basketball. We've had the Mountain West, we've got the American next week. How difficult is it, or how difficult has this year been for scheduling, for non-conference scheduling for your guys' programs?
If you don't mind, Coach Dunphy, I'll take. I mean, it's been impossible. It really has been. I just feel like every high major schedule that comes out, they're either playing each other or some, very, very low major teams that they're buying. And our league, I feel like, is really, got limited opportunities to play against those teams. It used to be really difficult, and now it feels impossible. And, even some of the tournaments have changed their format so that the high majors are only playing each other. And that makes it difficult. When we get these limited opportunities. So much is at stake when you have them. And I just, we've discussed this a lot of times as a staff and with some people who come in. The NCAA tournament is, they make the selection, and it's easy to say, well, they didn't play a good enough schedule. But that committee has nothing to do with the scheduling, and that would be the only thing. In the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys can't play more home games than everybody else, or not challenge or choose their schedule. And so that makes it really difficult, and especially for a conference like the Mountain West and the Atlantic 10, the American, getting those opportunities seems to be harder and harder.
I would pretty much agree. I think scheduling is one of the harder things we do. And it just doesn't come together like you'll get some people say, once you play this team. Why would that team want to play us? But there's none of that consideration. And I, like everything else, I turn most of these difficult things over to our staff, but they do a great job to put it together. And I'll complain if I don't like the choices they're giving me, that kind of stuff. It's hard. It's hard, and it's not it's an important part of what we do, though. You don't want to travel too far at certain times of the year, and you want to play more local games, and if you can, but it's not the easiest thing to do. Absolutely, something that I respect greatly in many programs. As Chris is saying, some of the higher echelon teams are able to buy games, and we're just not.
LT, what do you think? You ready to have a little fun with these guys?
Let's do it.
All right, Coach Dunphy, Coach Mooney. It's been a blast, but we got a little thing on our show called the Shot Clock, where LT is going to fire off 5 or 6 quick questions. We'll give you guys both a chance to answer. First thing that comes to your mind, just let it go. And if it leads to a short little story or a couple sentences here and there, the responses are all yours. So LT, let's get it.
Yep. One word to describe the A-10 basketball conference. One word.
Competitive.
Okay.
Ooh, deep and competitive. I like that. Okay. Mm-hmm. Toughest place to play in the A-10.
LaSalle.
Even as the home coach, it's tough to play.
We got a new facility coming too. We rehabbed our facility, so.
You do. I want to touch on, when are you guys unveiling that? It's the John Glazer Arena, I believe.
Yeah, that'll be November 4th. We're playing against the American University here at LaSalle, and we're hopeful we will have a lot of people, and it will be a nice experience for everybody. They did a really good job in a very short period of time, so we're excited about it.
Coach Mooney, who would you say?
I'll say St. Bonaventure.
Bonnie's.
Yeah. Yeah, only in New York at its finest. There's nothing around there. I went on a recruiting trip there once. It was voted. I didn't go there, but it was voted the worst college campus for student life or something like that. This was years ago, though. We won't go there.
So they got to go to the basketball games and get rowdy.
Yep, right. I guess so. All right, best dressed coach in the A-10 on the sidelines.
Chris Mooney.
Coach Dunphy. Coach Dunphy's always well dressed. Much appreciated.
Yes.
I feel like some deflection here. Okay, this is a good one. All right. Most animated coach on the sideline.
Frank Martin.
Yeah.
Archie Miller.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And Mark Schmidt travels the most distance.
Coach, he's getting his steps.
He knows exactly how many steps he takes per game.
That would be a good little statistic. Put like a Fitbit on each coach and see how many steps each coach get in each game.
Oh, that's hilarious. Who would you say is your best conference official?
You could say worse too, but we don't want to go there.
Yeah. I think they're all terrific.
That's the right answer.
Coach Mooney's thought.
Yeah. Okay. So, which conference team led the conference in most fouls called against them per game? A little trivia. Who was first in the conference for most fouls called against them?
Last year?
Yep.
My guess would be UMass.
Coach Dunphy, what would you say?
That's a good. I wish I had my stats in front of me. I'd say, who knows? It could be LaSalle, for crying out loud.
No, you keep deflecting to yourself. Coach. Number one.
I know best.
Well, there you go. Number one was Fordham with 20.2. Okay,
that's a lot of fouls.
I know that's a lot. Who had the least amount of fouls called against them? Coach, it wasn't LaSalle. No offense.
Yeah,
Dayton Flyers.
You are correct.
That's
13.4. LaSalle, you are 8th at 16.7. Richmond, you are 14th with 14.1.
We were 14. Wow. And Fordham committed 6 more.
Yeah. 6.1 more fouls than you.
It's crazy.
Maybe we should ask that coach.
Yeah.
Coach Ergo, who the best conference official is. What's that, Coach Dunphy?
I want to get to my assistants and tell them, why didn't we chart all that prior to me coming to this? Okay, so I would have my act together here.
Sammy, finish them off.
Yeah, coaches, we're going to turn it over to you guys the last minute of the show. Anything you guys want to share to the Spider faithful, the Explorer faithful, fans, alumni, boosters, student section, anything you guys are looking forward to this season? Coach Mooney, we'll start with you.
Yeah, we're just really excited to play. You know, as Coach Dump pointed out, you're together so often now. It used to feel like a sprint from the first day of practice to the first game, and now it feels like, well, you're really just anxious to get started and compete against somebody else. So we're excited to get started, and you know, we have such a great school at the University of Richmond, and home court advantage and great following. So we're excited to get out there and play and be in the Robins Center and playing in college basketball games.
Yeah, I think for us, it's the fact that we have a revamped facility and all chairback seating and the new electronics, and everybody on campus is excited about it. So if we can, what I would love to do is obviously fill this thing as much as we can, and then get as many of the other student athletes to come and join us. And I think our guys do a pretty good job of getting to other events during the course of the year when they're not playing, obviously. And so we want to make it the center of attention on campus each and every game day. And hopefully we can put a good product out on the court. Yesterday, we honored the guy who probably is most well-known player and person here at LaSalle, Tom Gola. There's a statue out front. We have a new Gola Plaza, and we've changed the address of the arena to 15, which was his number, Tom Gola Way. So it was a nice event, and again, everybody's hopeful that we'll do a good job when we get in there, and we're apprehensive about the season. Everybody says to be excited. I think at this point in my career, excited is not the emotion; it's apprehension. How good we're going to be, and how afraid I am as going into the first game. And I'm always afraid each and every game going in until that first ball goes up, and apprehension is the word of the day.
Yeah. I grew up a LaSalle fan because of Lionel Simmons, the L Train.
He was awesome. I had a chance for 2 years, and as good a basketball player as you could find. Absolutely. He was a better teammate.
Yeah. See what you missed, Coach Mooney, if you went to play for him?
LT, we got to get out to Philadelphia to catch some games at the new arena, the John Glazer Arena. Richmond's playing there February 19th this upcoming season. So let's make it happen.
Okay. I'll start walking to Philadelphia from Ohio. But coaches, you're going to stick with us one more second. Just going to upload. But hey, we really appreciate it. Check out the Atlantic 10 Conference. It's always competitive. LaSalle is going to play. Richmond's going to play some great games, and it's going to be great to watch and follow. So don't forget to subscribe, rate, review. We'll be back next week or next day on the Full Court Press podcast, a college basketball experience.